Hi everyone, this is Natasha and this is Friday Funbits, and today, because I'm tackling a different project each week, I decided to address my stack of paper scraps. We all have them. I don't know anyone who uses up every morsel of a page or a sheet of paper and then uses it for a project and then tosses it away. I have all sorts of scraps. I have black cardstock. I have my craft, my favorite craft. I have colors that are not my favorites for projects that I have finished. In other words, I have a stash that needs to be controlled. So the way that I'm going to approach this today is I have these two memory box dies, which are the base and the overlay, which I want to use to create 3x3 little enclosure cards. And I'll give you an idea of some of the ones that I've made in the past. I have a whole little box of them. So here's one that's thank you. It's nice to have on hand, especially when you're sending a package or attach it to a gift. Tickled pink. A random sticker that I had left over that I used, a dimensional sticker. Some Friday Funbits when I was sending out giveaways. And then I have a stash of prepared ones so I can add an image. So what I started off with is for these particular ones, 12 by 12 white cardstock, which I cut with my Dream Cuts machine in half, and then turned the page over in half until I got 6x3s. And then I just scored them in the middle and folded them. And then I have layers. So I have these all on hand so I can customize them. So I have the base layer, you know, the white base, the black cardstock, which is my favorite Fellows report covers. I'm always afraid that I'm going to run out of these. That's why I've been saving all these little pieces, because as you can see, this won't really, you know, I can't use it on a large die cut, but I can use it as a base for a 3x3. I could probably use it as a base for a 4x4 card. So it's nice to have that option. So let me just give you a little sneak peek at this gorgeous die cut, which I will show you once I cut down all my paper. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? So the base is white, and then I had a scrap piece of red cardstock, and it gets layered on top. And I'll show you a finished card, or at least what I would like to have on hand as embellishments, because then I could just pop one of these right on top, and a little bit of a dimensional, and a little message or a thank you or nothing on the outside and just my note on the inside. So I'll be back once I cut down all these papers. Now what I'm going to do is, when it's a small piece like this, if I can't get a 4x4 square, I'll get a 3x3 or a base layer, which is 1/8 of an inch smaller, and I will determine what I can cut from it depending on the size. This looks like a 3x6, so this might make a card base. Larger pieces, I can have a base for an A2 size card. So if you look at your scraps, take a look and then think about, what am I most likely to use? Do you do Project Life? Do you need 3x5 cards? Do you need 4x6s? Do you need 2x3s? Keep that in mind and then see what's the largest cut you can get out of that scrap piece of paper. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through this stack of paper, and then I'll come back and show you what I've been able to recover from these, and then we'll make a couple of cards together. Well, there you have it. Just a little bit of work, and I left some of the largest pieces as the large pieces because I know I could use those on either bigger dies, and then I have a pile of smaller pieces. Like, I don't want to trim this down. It's nice foil. I use this for lids for mason jars, or as die cuts for if you need a really dramatic focal point on a card or layout. Then I left a couple of long strips because I have some of my favorite fence dies that would be nice to have, because this obviously wouldn't do it. And then I also have a stash of A5 card, A2 size card bases, as well as some 4x4s, 3 1/4, and then a bunch of 3x3s. And these 3x3s I'm going to use to die cut these 2 memory box dies. So I'm going to grab my, and then I also saved some of these little snippets, but it looks like a little piece, but as you all well know, I have a tendency to make very small items, so this could be like an entire new mini. So I kept that, especially for little punches and, you know, things like that. So it's always nice to have a little bit small pieces on hand, particularly white, because you can always stamp sentiments and then put them on dimensional foam on cards. So let me put this away into a container where I'm going to keep these little scraps, and then I will pull out my Cuttlebug and I'll show you the optimum way to cut these really fine detail die. So I have my Cuttlebug all set up. I have the A plate, C plate, which is the thicker plate, and the B plate, which I cut in 2. So I'm going to cut just this fine detail one, and I'll show you why. Now, for dies that are very detailed, you want to make sure that you cut it cleanly first, or maybe second pass, but definitely without moving the element that has already been cut. The best way to do that is, because this is a pressure roller system type of machine, Cuttlebug, Big Shot, Vagabond, all of them work on the same premise. There are 2 rollers and the pressure that's put in between them by the sandwich. So just like a, how does Stephanie Bernard calls it, a speed bump, it goes this way. So when you place an item in the center is most likely to be the one that's most worn. So there's these things called sweet spots on your machines, and you'll find what works best. Each machine is going to be different, just like the calibration between the 2 rollers adjusts slightly from machine to machine, so you kind of sometimes have to make a little bit of a wedge, or you need to make sure that you're getting a really good impression. So I have found that the outside third of my Cuttlebug is the most optimum for these type of detail dies. So I'm going to place it just about here, because it's a little off center from the speed bump center. And I'm going to take my black cardstock, which is this embossed kind of wood grainy stock, and I'm going to turn it upside down because I want the image to be cut cleanest this way. So I'm going to, how do I have it? I think this way. No. Okay. So I have it covered. As you can see, you can't see any of the metal of the die. And now I'm going to slip my B plate on top of it. I'm going to have to tilt my camera just a second. And then I'm going to run it through. And the only reason I had to do that is because my tripod is right at the edge of my desk. Okay. So that, in theory, having caught the sweet spot, let me just move this out of the way, it'd be the easiest, and show you what that looks like. So see how the pieces are already separating? For this particular die, you definitely need a tool that you can poke through. So let me move that. And from the underside, it looks good. I see everything's cut through. I'm going to go around and poke out the loose pieces and then get the edge. And the edge is the outside periphery of holes. So I'm going to loosen one. And then pull up gently, because it is so delicate. But this is really thick cardstock, so I'm not worried about ripping it. Now I'm going to go and poke out all the little edges, and then I'll put it over a white cardstock so you could see just how dramatic this is. It doesn't seem like much initially, but I really am loving this die. Look at that. So let me just put this aside and show you what that looks like on top of one of the white ones. Now for those of you who have Xyron machines, it would be ideal to use it with this. Look at that, how beautiful that is. I really love that. And you can use any color you want. So if you have a Xyron machine, you can use it to adhere to the base, but you can also use it on the top and then add flocking or glitter. You could still use like glitter glue on top of that. So let me off camera put a couple of cards together, and then I'll show you the finished project and how I utilized my scraps to have some die cuts all ready to go for some of these cute little enclosure cards. So I've adhered the black layer, and the way I do it, since I don't have a Xyron, is I use a Zig two-way glue. It is permanent while it's blue, and if you let it dry until it's clear, then it's temporary. And I have plenty of time to work with it. It gives you a little bit of a give. So what I do, the easiest way to adhere this is to glue the center first, line everything up, and because you have a little bit of a give time, you can actually adjust the top layer to the base. And then I just fold back a little bit the black layer petals, the petal outline, and then just add the zig underneath and just go around the periphery and get all of the edges. So it's adhered nicely, it's fine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch a hole right here and then feed a few stamen through the center, then add dimensional tape and adhere it on the 3x3 card. So I am very partial to silver, but I did pull out also the white pearl stamens as well as the black. The black to me just looked like caviar. I love it, and there's an array of colors that it comes in. I have also gold, although it's not my top pick, red, and my other favorite is this beautiful lilac pearl. But for this particular card, I think, well, I don't know. I like the silver, and then, you know what? I did pull out my Silver At You Spica marker, which I could add some dashes or, you know, some kind of embellishment that's silver on the sides. Or I could use my foil tape in silver to cut out a little sentiment, or I could stamp using silver metallic ink, like the word high. But let's punch the hole out first, because regardless of which we're going to use, we're definitely going to need to punch the hole. So I'm gonna, and it does go through the two layers. I have a hole punched through, you can see right there. So let's audition the silver, see what that looks like. And for those of you who don't like rustling, sorry about that. And you get a very generous amount, 180 of them. Let's pick out a few. So I have 3. And I'm just going to line them up on one side and then do one twist and fold them over to create a crease and then poke them through. So see, that's already a nice little element. Let me show you closer. And because it's going to be dimensional, there's going to be plenty of space for me to tape down these, or, you know, tape down where they attach and then trim this off before adding the dimensional. I really like the silver, but white would go as well. I'm going to go with the silver. So I'm going to pull these up until they're tight, but not ripping. And just grab a little piece of my old-fashioned office tape dispenser because I'm in my office. And just tape over where that is and trim off these little pieces. I don't need them now. And I will add a piece of dimensional tape to the back. See, I really like the way that looks. It's very elegant. These would make very elegant and professional looking place cards for a wedding, for a shower. I'm going to go over the center first and then add pieces as I need to around the periphery. You don't need too much, you just want to make sure that it's evenly balanced. These will make great little enclosure cards for nifty gifties, or what most people call racks. I've called them nifty gifties for I don't even know how long. As a child, I used to stand by the door when we'd be leaving my parents' friends' houses, and when I say as a child, like when I was under 5 years old. And if we were leaving and we still hadn't gotten anything, I would really make a big stink about it. Or I would say, we can't leave yet, they haven't given us anything. Because I don't know about you, but in Russian tradition, usually you send people home with stuff. See, I really like that. And this die, although it's not specifically a poinsettia, cut out of red and a darker red, or even better, this cut out of red felt, a deep burgundy red felt, would be beautiful combination. So let me peel these off. And these don't have any static because they're coated. Unlike the red line tape, that has static because it winds on itself without a coating. And then I will place it, and that's going to be the end of the card. I mean, could not be any easier. Let's see, how do I want this? And usually when I go to place, since I'm doing this through the viewfinder of my camera, I'm going to put my tweezers, make my tweezers do some work for me. Nope, I don't like it that way. I think I like it like this. And that's it. That's a sweet little card I can include in a present, or this would be a nice stand-up card to put someone's name on. You know, you can put a talk bubble, use a talk bubble over it with the person's name or a table number. There's a lot of ways you could use up scraps. So this was all from my scrap pile. Granted, you know, I had these cards already made, but that's it. All the rest of the stuff, really simple. So that is my today's Friday Fun Bits. I hope you enjoyed. I might play around with this as you speak, I'm not sure. I kind of like this very clean look, very modern, which I tend to gravitate to. But you could totally grunge it up, make it very shabby, masculine if you want to. Maybe not with the flower, but you know, the 3x3 card idea. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Don't forget to thumbs up. It's free for you and it helps me out. And if you have any suggestions for future Friday Fun Bits, please, by all means, make requests. I will try to accommodate if I can. If you want any tools shown, I would like to do that. The next one, I know already what I'm going to be doing. And I will put a preview of it on my Instagram, which is what I've been doing since I started. I post pictures of the item that I'll be making on Instagram. So if you don't already follow me, there'll be links in the About section. And if you only see a sentence or two, just click on the button that says more, or the word that says more, and it'll open it up for you. Again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next Friday.